Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a podcast and videocast from univrm.com. Today is one of our economy articles titled Doomsday Preppers Economic Solutions, Part 3 of 10. On our website, you can reference the companies which are mentioned in this article, and hypertext links to those companies are on our website at www.univrm.com for the name of this article. In parts 1 and 2 of this series on Doomsday Preppers, and more specifically Doomsday Diamonds, we outlined the various belief systems of the Doomsday Prepper culture and some of the many reasons the culture exists. The Doomsday Prepper culture has various concerns ranging from economic collapse, supervolcanoes, tsunamis, world war, religious reasons, large asteroid, meteor, or comet collisions, the Mayan calendar, solar flares, global warming, rising ocean levels, to mysterious planets on a collision course with Earth, all part of the Doomsday Prepper culture. Due to the large response to this series, we have undertaken a great deal of research into the Doomsday Prepper culture and part of the socioeconomic forces driving the culture. Further, this series of economy articles offers historical and modern microeconomic and macroeconomic solutions when one of these events happens. In this series of economy articles, our base assumption, whatever doomsday scenario unfolds, some amount of people survive with or without current governments. Historical records prove during the era of Homo sapiens there have been mass extinction events in which some of the species survived. As we pointed out in parts 1 and 2 of this series, each of the major barter currencies requires additional knowledge. Gold, silver, and diamonds all have positives and negatives, and all require a degree of analysis to determine true value. Part 2 of the series went into detail on the basic ways diamonds are valued, how to determine value, and the most reliable sites Doomsday Diamonds purchased. Again, within our website for this article, you can click and go to those sites in order to purchase the Doomsday Diamonds. The sites are first IsraeliDiamonds.com, which has a nice native English-speaking personnel for help and assistance. They also have an intuitive website perfect for the do-it-yourself type of Doomsday Prepper and for those on a limited budget. Their website, an easy means for buying diamonds for most of the ranges listed in the explanation for the economic values used to purchase Doomsday Diamonds, as described in part 2 of this series, listed on their site. The website, an excellent resource, and constantly updated pricing levels allow you to set the criteria you desire: price, cut, carat weight, color, and clarity, so even those on a limited budget can take advantage of diamonds as a barter commodity. Second company recommended, Merodium International, country code 323-231-3542, located in the diamond capital of the world, Antwerp, Belgium. And in part 2 of this series, we recommended you speak with any of their diamond consultants on purchasing diamonds if you wish to pay for extra help and expertise and are purchasing over $10,000. This is a company staffed with experienced, professional, and honest people who will help you with your needs as a wholesale broker of diamonds, but is not for the do-it-yourself type individual. In parts 1 and 2 of this series of economy articles, we pointed out some of the socioeconomic forces driving the Doomsday Prepper culture. The people whom are part of this culture, not conspiracy theorists, but pragmatic examples of humans who see the larger world around them and have consciously decided to prepare for an inevitable event. There is no rational scientist, of whatever speciality, who will argue against the fact planet Earth will indeed repeat planetary events it has experienced in the past, including what are commonly referred to as mass extinction events. As pointed out in both previous economy articles of this series, it really is a matter of when, not if. In general, Doomsday Preppers, whether a doomsday event happens within their lifetime or not, preparing for this inevitability in varying degrees of foresight and preparedness based on either a single event motivation, for example, fear of an economic collapse, or a general recognition of historic patterns in both human and planetary history. The first part of each of these economy articles attempts to point out the ridicule aimed at doomsday pressures is specious and short-sighted. Whether any specific member of the culture has a specific belief-driven motive or not is irrelevant in a historical perspective, as well as simple cognition of future events not tied to a single date, but an inevitable consequence of life cycles, whether that life cycle is natural or man-made. Further fueling the doomsday prepper culture are sociological and economic events some view as harbingers of cause and effect, triggering exponential consequences. These easier to understand motives give rise to easier to understand counter-arguments against such motives, but ignore the larger reality by feeding pablum to the masses as if everyone was an infant. In other words, it is easy to make a counter-argument, for example, against the possibility of global economic collapse or global war, and conveniently ignore normal geological events such as continental drift, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, or other natural disasters of tremendous magnitude. These natural events, while empirically proven in a scientific perspective, not addressed due to the current technological limitations to accurately predict when such events take place in future. This is a natural human phenomenon denying mortality. The technological advances of the last century, 1912 to 2012, eclipse all other technical advances in the 30,000 plus years of modern human existence, Homo sapiens, by orders of magnitude. The inherent biological blueprint, genome, of modern humans is no different today than it was 30,000 years ago, but this simple biological fact ignored by willful ignorance. It is easy to forget that 100 years prior to 1912, the year 1812, there was in essence a completely different world of humans, even though in 2012 those same biological descendants have created more myths of power and control. In an article on Christianity, author Andrew Sullivan stated the following: above all, give up power over others, because power, if it is to be effective, ultimately requires the threat of violence, and violence is incompatible with the total acceptance and love of all other human beings that is at the sacred heart of Jesus' teachings. Religions aside, and the desire for peace on earth aside, the author made a crucial point grasped by most doomsday preppers, irrespective of their subculture within the overall culture itself. It is a violent world. It is a violent world in either human or natural terms. The 10 generations of humans born since 1812 have gone from social norms such as slavery and feudalism, best described now as neo-slavery and neo-feudalism. Through sheer ignorance is bliss mentality, the prior 1,490 generations ignored as if biology had somehow magically disappeared. The current U.S. presidential race is a stark reminder of how men with power will use whatever means necessary to attain or retain power. Women used, as they historically have been, as political pawns by mythical justifications based on religious superstition. Strangely enough, women, while appalled at the attempts to roll back their social advances, maintain illusions that biologically reproductive humans, cynically creating a childhood that never existed, enslaved through various means of ownership until some arbitrary number of years lived. Yet another example of the disassociation of the 29,800 years of biological evolution somehow dismissed through verbal justifications of equally mythical and superstitious hypocrisy. Where the same logic used, the average 23-year lifespan of the majority of human history somehow tribally repressed to inhibit biological diversity and reproduction, modern human descendants, us, would not exist. It's the same illusion shared with natural disasters such as the earthquakes and tsunami Japan experienced in 2011, destroying over 1 million buildings. Hundreds of thousands of people dead, missing, or displaced, with nuclear fallout from the damaged nuclear power plants at Fukushima, a millennia-long problem that will affect an even greater number of people over a much longer time span. In terms of casualties and total destructive power, a natural disaster equal if not greater than the nuclear bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Whatever happens in terms of a doomsday event, of whatever magnitude and whenever it takes place, doomsday preppers are those most likely to survive when the when, not if, event takes place. Subsequent to such an event, there will be some type of rebuilding period, and barter currencies above the basic needs of food, water, shelter, and physical protection require additional knowledge. Gold, silver, and diamonds all have positive and negatives, and all require a degree of analysis to determine true value. As pointed out in part 2 of the economy articles in this series, diamonds represent the easiest barter currency, but are the least understood due to their individuality in determining value. The primary ways to determine value explained in the same article. In addition to loose diamonds, there are diamonds attached to jewelry, generally with some type of precious metal, calibrated diamonds, and rough diamonds. Each of these particular categories has additional means of determining value. Calibrated diamonds are diamonds using the exact same value parameters discussed in part 2 of this series, but specifically cut to sizes used in the production of jewelry or for industrial use. In general, this means most calibrated diamonds are below 0.30 carat weight, or 60 milligrams, with all of the previously stated parameters for diamonds applicable. Each diamond is individual, but with a standard microscope, an accurate weight measurement device, even novice traders, especially in a post-doomsday event scenario, able to relatively accurately gauge the value of a diamond based on trading values for barter. There will undoubtedly be cases where it is wise to have a variety of diamond sizes and qualities as part of your future barter reserve for trading from diamonds of high value to diamonds of much lesser value, depending on the trade and barter circumstance. In simple terms, this may mean, for example, one might use a calibrated diamond to trade for some small amount of barter materials and save larger diamonds for larger barter negotiations. It is quite easy to forget paper money, which will not survive a major doomsday event with intrinsic value, a relatively new concept in economics and human bartering. From an economic perspective, paper money was not accepted as a global barter currency until the Bretton Woods Agreement following World War II in 1945. This agreement was subsequently unilaterally nullified by the U.S. government in 1971 when it removed the U.S. dollar from the agreement of most major nations for the exchange of paper money into a fixed amount or varied amount of physical gold. Paper money will be nothing more than paper following a major doomsday event. For small trades or bartering of basic human necessities such as food, water, shelter, and protection, the most ancient forms of barter will replace any given monetary system. X amount of livestock for Y amount of grain is a normal barter example. The next level of barter, as previously stated, will involve recognized barter currencies. Where do calibrated diamonds fit in this scenario? Like small amounts of precious metals, copper, gold, silver, calibrated diamonds represent a barter currency for the exchange of goods and services in microeconomic situation, i.e. small amounts of whatever is being traded. On our website at www.univrm.com, in the body of the article, you can click on a link and go to the Doomsday Diamond site and choose different types of calibrated diamonds. Choosing calibrated diamonds from 0.01 to 0.30 using the previously defined methods for diamond value in part 2 of the economy articles for Doomsday Preppers and Doomsday Diamonds enables a wider degree of trading capabilities. In any doomsday event of a large enough magnitude, the ability to easily transport barter material of varying degrees of value required due to instability. Fleeing anywhere requires the least amount of excess material that encumbers flight. The most prepared doomsday preppers will undoubtedly benefit most, depending on the extent of their preparations. As previously pointed out in prior articles in this economy series, diamonds of all types, the easiest, lightest, and most concealable barter currency, and should be a part of any doomsday prepper's preparations, irrespective of all other preparations. This is the end of part 3 of 10 on this series of articles, and will be continued in the next part of our economy article series on Doomsday Preppers and Doomsday Diamonds. This has been copyright 2012, univrm.com, trademarked, all rights reserved. At univrm.com, we create original content with humor and satire on current event news, opinion articles, economy articles, science current events, and our science fiction book series titled Change Hope. As an advertisement, there is a donations accepted button on our website, www.univrm.com, and donations welcome to help us keep publishing in difficult economic times. As a second advertisement, please remember univrm.com offering our science fiction book series, Change Hope, released as a series on a chapter and book-by-book basis, like the old Amazing Stories magazine. Change Hope available in all ebook formats and as an audiobook. You can download the first chapter for free by going to www.univrm.com/downloads/. You can listen to this article via podcast at the iTunes Store by subscribing to univrm.com, or read it on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at the UNIVRM channel. This has been a podcast and videocast from univrm.com, and we look forward to bringing you more in future.